This is the Mazda 6e, Mazda's all-new electric car. Well, thank you very much. It welcomes you when you get close to it with the keys in your pocket. This is Mazda's first proper electric car. And Mazda actually means business with this new electric car because there are two Japanese philosophies behind this electric car. The first philosophy, Kudo, which means flow, and the second philosophy, Jinba-Ittai, which means the horse and rider are one. Does this philosophy from Mazda actually translates to this new Mazda 6e? Well, that's what we're going to find out in this video. If that sounds exciting, let's get started. The Kudo philosophy is from the design perspective of this car, while Jinba-Ittai is from the driving perspective of this car. And Jinba-Ittai simply means that the electric car doesn't operate as an entity of its own. It, however, means that the driver and the car are one. But starting with Kudo, which is flow of this car, I like the design of this electric car. It's really Mazda-like, and there are a lot of flowing and smooth lines in the design of this car. Mazda really have done a great job in the exterior design of this car. Even the hood design of this car, there's this long hood for this car. I would say the Kudo philosophy, it translates to the design of this car. In back, there's also a sleek design to this car. This sloping sports back sedan design of this car. Mazda have decided not to go SUV, but rather into a sedan body style, which honestly, I'm happy that they are doing that. From the design of this car, even the taillight perspective of this car, I like this eccentric semicircle tail lights in the design of this car and also the light bar. Now, if you notice, this car has an electric spoiler, which I think is kind of an overkill for this car. However, you can actually customize the spoiler for this car to open up when you unlock the car. If I should just unlock. When you unlock, the spoiler would just open up. I think it's an overkill, honestly, for this car because this car is, first of all, a heavy electric car. That's one. It has a top speed of just 175 kilometers per hour. It's not even the fastest, honestly, from 0 to 60. The electric motors of this car, it's a 255 horsepower electric car with 320 Newton meters of torque. Now, let me quickly run over the specs for this car so we can get out of the snow. There are two versions of the Mazda 6e, which are being currently sold in Sweden. The first is the standard range version, and you have the long range version. This car I have here is the standard range version, and it starts at about 499,500 Swedish crowns, and the long range versions start at about 530,000 Swedish crowns. Now, onto what this standard and long range version means. Now, the standard and the long range versions are both built on an 400 volt battery architecture, which I would say is unimpressive and lower than most of the competition. Both versions make the same 320 Nm of torque on their rear drive electric motors with slightly different horsepower output and 0 to 60 times. Both versions can be spec'd with either the Takumi or Takumi Plus premium trim line, and that's where their similarities end. Now onto the differences. The standard range utilizes a 68 kWh of battery capacity with LFP technology. It has a claimed WLTP range of about 479 kilometers and it's DC fast charging capable of 160 kilowatts with a 10 to 80% SOC in about 27 minutes. The long range utilizes an 80 kWh of battery capacity using NMC technology. It has a claimed WLTP range of about 549 kilometers and it's DC capable of a lesser 90 kilowatts with a 10 to 80% SOC in about 47 minutes. Yes, the standard version is cheaper, but does paying the extra cost for the long range version, is it really worth it? Considering the longer charge time and an extra 70 kilometers in range, I'm not really sure. I'm also not a fan of the pop-out door handles, especially in use case scenarios. But hey, at least you have a decent sized 72 liters front trunk, which I would say is very, very practical and quite deep. In back too, you have a 366 liters boot and seats that can be folded flat in a 60-40 folding configuration, giving you up to 1070 liters of boot space. The Mazda 6e is decently sized, also spanning over 4900 millimeters in length, 1890 millimeters in width, 1485 millimeters in height, and a wheelbase of just under 2900 millimeters, which is great for rear sitting in the back of this car. I'll quickly demonstrate what it feels like to be a rear seat occupant in the back seat of this car. The driver chair is set up for my perfect driving position, and I am 187 centimeters, and I still can stretch out my foot underneath the seats. There's still good amount of new room for me. I'm very comfortable in the back seat of this car, and I honestly would not mind, long journeys in the back seat of this car because the seats are also as comfortable as the front seat. Now, for rear seat occupants, there's also a display here to control the temperature controls of this car. This display can also be used to open and close the panoramic glass roof of this car. I love the panoramic glass roof of this car that is actually shaded. In the rear passenger screen, you can also adjust the front passenger screen forward and backward just to create more space or create more legroom for rear seat occupants. Now, in terms of practicality in the rear seat of this car, yes, you have decent sized door bins in this car, but I honestly need to say that Mazda got everything right in the interior of this car, but missed one thing, which is in the armrest. Now, to open this armrest is a struggle, honestly, because there are no like straps or there's no like indentation to open this armrest. You have to struggle, and honestly, hey, bear with me, I've been struggling. It's a struggle to open this armrest, but when you do, you have two exposed cup holders and the armrest is also comfortable. So yes, just go back there. We don't need it. But yeah, rear seating is great in this car. Now let's jump into the front. Now, welcome to the exquisite and beautiful looking interior of the Mazda 6e. Now, I earlier mentioned about the kudo philosophy of this car, and it translates into the interior of this car with a lot of flowing designs and beautiful design characteristics in the interior of this car. Now, the trim level of the Mazda 6e I have here is this Takumi Plus. And with that comes this beautiful two-tone interior. This brown suede material, the two-tone steering wheel. Now, I like that Mazda haven't gone bonkers with, screens in the interior of this car, just like what the CLA 250 I just reviewed. By the way, if you haven't watched that video, first link in the description, watch my full review of the new CLA 250 Plus. This is a very, very minimalist interior. Don't get me wrong. Everything has been moved into this 14.6-inch screen. You have two screens in this car, which I think is very, very sufficient. You have this 14.6-inch screen, like I mentioned, and you have a 10.2-inch screen gauge cluster. But before we jump into all these screen situations in this car, the design of this car is honestly very, very wonderful. The seats, the material quality, this brown Napa leather in the seats are so comfortable. I can sit all day, every day in these seats. I like how comfortable they are. The seats are also heated and cooled. The seats are also power operated, of course, just to show you how, luxurious Mazda wants this car to be. And you have this metallic plate on the headrest of the car. And also in these seats, there are speakers also in the seats for this car, and these speakers are there when you get a phone call. You can route a phone call to the speakers in the headrest so you don't bother other passengers in the car. There's a lot of luxury touches in the interior of this car. Mazda have gone all out luxury in the interior of this car. The speaker system is a Sony speaker system with a subwoofer in the trunk. Now, quickly in terms of practicality, you have two cup holders, and there's a stylish way for opening the center console. This button here just opens the center console, and it's a deep center console, honestly. You have storage space underneath here, but one thing that I noticed in my use of this car is that when it's very dark at night, there's no ambient light or light in the lower part of this center console. So if you have things that are there, you probably have a hard time finding things that are underneath this place when it's really, really dark, even when you open the door. Now, the touch point in this car, everywhere you press, everywhere you touch, there are metallic buttons. The door opener is metallic. I like the speaker grills on the top part of the dash. This suede material on the dashboard is so quality. The ambient lighting situation on this car is not over the edge, honestly. You have this ambient lighting strip and an ambient lighting in the center console of this car, and that's it, honestly. Now, quickly into this infotainment screen. This is where you control all the car's functions. There are no physical buttons apart from the physical buttons on the steering wheel of this car. Let me quickly tell you about the physical buttons of this car. On the left side of the steering wheel, you have buttons to control the adaptive cruise control. In the middle, you have a button to pull up your 360-degree camera. You have two star buttons on the left side of the steering wheel, and you can map those star buttons to various functions or shortcuts. On the right side of your steering wheel, You have a button here which you can use to cycle through the different, informations in the instrument cluster of this car, and you have your media buttons just on the top. Yes, it's a bit of a piano black in the steering wheel button of this car, but I honestly don't mind it, and they're actually real buttons, which I appreciate. Now let's quickly jump into this 14-inch screen where you control everything in the car. It's an Android-based screen, honestly, and you can see that from the usage of this screen. You can swipe into different menus in this screen. The wipers are controlled through the screen. The headlights are also controlled through the screen. Like every of the car functions are controlled through the screen. You have heads-up display in this car, and you can customize the heads-up display to different settings. You can also go into your driving modes and toggle through different settings in your driving mode. There's also the smart drive, which means Mazda's safety systems, which includes the adaptive cruise control, cross traffic support, all the safety features which you expect from this car. And here also in this screen, you can see that this is a Qualcomm based screen. So this is a Qualcomm-based, operating system. Like I said, it's an Android-based system. However, when you swipe down from the top, you have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, and you have different other functions. You have a camera also in the interior of this car, which you can use to take a selfie. Now, some gimmicky features in the interior of this car, which I don't think a lot of people would use, are, this car has gesture controls. You have this to take a selfie. You make this gesture to pause. You make this gesture to play music. You get a call, you do like this to pick a call. I don't know how much this thing is going to work, so don't show your friends because it might not work, honestly. This car shares its platform with Changan, which is a Chinese company. So it has both Japanese and Chinese DNA. Wonderful. To continue this video, let's hop out on the road and see how this Mazda 6e actually drives. Okay. Driving the Mazda 6e, the standard range Takumi Plus.
Unable to execute.
Cancel. You see, this is my problem with all these onboard AIs in cars now, that they're always listening to you. Okay, first, driving impressions of this car. And the first thing I would like to do is to present the philosophy behind this car. That's the driving philosophy behind this car, which is the Jinba-Ittai driving philosophy, which means the rider and the horse are one. Now, we can look at the driving of this car from two distinct perspectives. There are two split personalities in the driving of this car. When you want to look at it from the lens of the rider and horses are one. Coming from Jinba-Ittai, what it actually means is that there's a connection, or there's a real connection between the horse and the rider. Now, if you translate that into this car, there's supposed to be this feeling of connection that you get when you are driving this car. Now, to what extent do you get that feeling? I would say, well, depends on how you look at it. Now, let me explain what I mean. Now, when you first get into this car is a very comfortable car to drive in. This interior is very plush, honestly. The interior makes the driving experience of this car to be pleasant, to be something you look forward to, a car you look forward to getting into. That being said, the way the chassis and the dampers and the suspension tuning of this car, the way the chassis of the car has been tuned, and honestly, for my driving of this car, it just seems like this car is not fully sorted out, or it has a hard time in sorting itself, especially when you are coming out of bends, or when you are, just in the driving nature or the driving characteristics of this car. It just feels like the wheels are not really in communication with each other, and the wheels are not in communication with the steering wheel. Now, the steering wheel is geared towards comfort, but feeling is not there in the steering wheel. The feeling from the steering wheel, it is very, very artificial. It feels so artificial that sometimes you almost don't know to how much degree or to how much weight the front tires are loading up. And that's sometimes scary, because especially in slippery road conditions like this, or in winter conditions like this, it's almost very hard to judge how much the car would rotate before it starts to lose grip. Honestly, at some point when you've turned the wheels and you're trying to recover from turning the wheels, it feels like there's a latency, or there's a lag between when you're, let's say, exiting a bend and when the steering has turned straight, and from when the car settles back into itself. I'm finding it hard to put that feeling into words, but it just feels like there's a lag between the steering and the car itself or the suspension itself, I am expecting some form of, stability in the steering wheel of this car, and this car seems to like that if you judge this car squarely from the Jinba-Ittai perspective. But then if you are just going to look at it as what it is, this car is a very, very comfortable car to drive in. And while daily driving and test driving this car, I've honestly been impressed to the comfort level this car gives you. And I think that's what I love with what Mazda are doing. There are also 3 separate driving modes in the interior of this car, which honestly, I wouldn't bother. Honestly, there's normal, sport, and individual. For me, honestly, I wouldn't bother, because this car, just leave it everything in normal mode, honestly. And even though you may want to think that this car is a bit dynamic on the bend, it's not. The electric motors, yes, are placed in the rear of this car, but that's it, honestly. The electric motor makes 255 horsepower and 320 newton meters of torque. You can do a 0 to 60 time of 7.8 seconds, which is a bit faster than the long-range version of this car. This car will also charge faster than the long-range version of this car. This car can charge at a peak capacity of 160 kilowatts DC capacity, and will take from 10 to 80% state of charge in about 27 minutes. The claimed WLTP range of this car is about 480 kilometers. But from my daily driving experience of this car and while test driving this car, I have gotten a real world range of about 260 kilometers. The weather conditions are a bit extreme. We're at -6 degrees now. So, of course, it's expected that the range of this car would tank. You're not going to be blown away by the way this car drives. However, you're going to be impressed by the interior quality of this car. You're going to be impressed by the technology of this car, even from the price point of this car. The fun factor of a Mazda is not that prevalent in this car, but it's still a good daily driver. Now, before ending this video, a huge thank you to the guys at Gustafsson Bil Skellefteå. Check out Gustafsson Bil. They have a great inventory of Mazda and Hyundai cars. So huge thank you to them for lending me this Mazda 6e. To conclude, the Mazda 6e is a very potent electric car. Although, considering this is Mazda's second shot at an EV and it wants to compete with other EVs in this category, I just think the 6e is underwhelming as it lacks competitive range and charging. However, the 6e is a comfortable car to daily drive. It ticks all the boxes for tech features, and it's also a great car to look at. To be honest, it's a nicely designed electric car. The interior is some of the best interior in its segment. It's stylish and a premium interior with plush and luxurious feature, and it also has a great price point. If you made it to the end of this video, it means a lot to me. Please consider subscribing to Dope Car Tech and hitting on that like button. That's it for me. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.